Welcome to the CE Pro podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. Cell phone signal boosting has been a solid category for many integrators for some time now. A new name to the custom integration channel, Uniden Cellular by Siyata Mobile provides cell boosters and indoor and outdoor antennas to cover a range of applications. LaRue Martz, VP of Sales for the Americas, tells us more about it and the company on this week's podcast episode. As always, be sure to subscribe to CE Pro's YouTube channel and hit that like button on our videos, or subscribe to the CE Pro podcast on Apple and Spotify and leave a review. LaRue Martz, VP of Sales for the Americas for Uniden Cellular by Siyata Mobile. Thanks so much for joining the CE Pro podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So LaRue, before we get into Uniden Solutions, can you tell us just a little bit about the company's background? It seems like you might be a bit new to the custom integration channel, so just get us familiar with the company itself, where you're based, what your dealer support and distribution are like.
Yeah, absolutely. So our parent company is Siyata Mobile. Siyata is actually based in Israel, and we actually have a parent company, another company that they purchased from a booster's perspective, which is Signify Mobile, that is based in Montreal. For the Americas, we actually operate out of Montreal for all of our equipment and different stuff that we do. Company's been in business now since 2010 is when that acquisition took place. And so my charge here is to bring brand awareness down to the Americas and what we do.
Excellent. Well, that's what we want to try and help out with as well. There are definitely some competitors in the space, and it's a great category, and so we want to get into all that. So, cell phone signal boosters, which markets does Uniden serve? Is it residential, commercial, resi-mercial, all of the above?
All the above. Yeah, absolutely. So what we did is we put together a suite of products that was diversified and also competes very well in the marketplace in each of those categories.
Okay, perfect. And what's the breakdown right now that you see in terms of about the ratio of residential business to commercial business?
Good question. So most of the concentration is moving towards what I'll say professional and enterprise, meaning that small business and larger commercial type stuff. The consumer stuff was big a few years ago during the pandemic. It has now started to kind of go down a little bit, but from a percentages perspective, I would say it's, probably 20, 40, what is that? 60, 40. So 40, 40, 20. How's that?
That works. So let's talk about that, the residential part of it first in terms of, how and why cell signal boosting is becoming an increasingly important element of the smart home ecosystem. Like you said, during the pandemic, for sure.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about 5G, obviously the impact that that's going to have. Why is it important right now for smart home and their customers to have, boosting capabilities?
Yeah, good question. So, smart homes are becoming smarter, obviously. So not only is it a communications with your cell phones and that type of stuff, it's now moved into home security. Anything that has any kind of connectivity to the outside world, whether it be a refrigerator or an appliance or anything in your home, it operates off of a cellular signal. As we know, cellular signals sometimes don't travel well from the outside to the inside, depending on what type of structure you have. So what we do is we are able to bring that outside coverage inside to give you signal where you need it the most in any kind of space.
Perfect. And when you're talking to dealers out there, what's the discussion like with them in terms of, hey, this is something that you really need to start adding to your portfolio, whether it is on the smart home side or the commercial business side, like you're saying, how do you get them involved and make that argument to say, hey, your solutions portfolio is great, but this is a solution that you really need to start using?
Yeah, I think they're starting to see the problem, and a lot of dealers are coming to us or our competitors saying, hey, look, we have these issues now that we didn't have in the past. Traditionally, they didn't see this, and now they're starting to see it more and more. So once you explain exactly how the solutions work, the ease of installation, the cost perspective, and what you're going to be able to do from a revenue generation, especially since you're an installation partner, whether that be maintenance contracts or whatever, following up, they really get a good sense of what to do. So.
Yeah, definitely. So let's dig into to the solutions. In terms of the Uniden Smart Cellular Enhancement Suite of products, tell us a little bit about the solutions and the feature sets that make these compelling products.
Yeah, so basically, if you can think about it, it's based on square footage and where you actually need the service. So if you're dealing with a small square footage, it affects how much units are going to cost, how easy it is to install, because you're going to have maybe one antenna that's allowed to light up the space that you're looking at. And the way they work is you have a donor antenna that's usually placed outside or in an area that's upper in your home or space. And that collects the signal from the outside, the donor signal. That is then fed into our box, which is an enhancement piece of the puzzle, which gives you filtering and able to take the signal, enhance it, and put it out to what we call a server antenna. Now that server antenna propagates inside your space to create a bubble of coverage. You can split that to multiple levels. You can add additional types of antennas, whether it be omni or directional, to light up whatever type of space it looks like. And so once you do that, it's very economical, very cost effective, and it just gives you that coverage where you need it the most.
And what would you say, what's kind of that breakdown with the square footage? We know certainly
Yeah.
our CE pros, they, work in everything from, 2,500 square feet houses to 10,000 foot estates
Yeah.
where, especially, beyond
Yeah.
even the homes, they've got houses that, kind of secondary structures on properties sometimes and things that go, have lots
Yeah.
of acreage as well.
Sure. So the good part about it is they work from basically any size square footage up to what I'd say is sweet spot of somewhere around 100, 150,000 square feet. And the way you get to that point is you're actually able to stack these or add multiple units to scale to whatever size building that you have. So the other thing to note is, let's say that you want inside and outside. So you put a very powerful unit in, like let's say a U70. That unit will actually do a smaller space inside, and then when you split the antenna, it takes the power that it's not using from the inside and propagates it outside. So it lights up a very large area outside and a small space on the inside. So it's smart enough to do that with the software that's inside.
Great. And do you guys talk in terms of, 4G, 5G, or is it all kind of agnostic or covering everything at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our stuff is what we call 5G ready. We've taken the same approach as obviously some of the other folks you've probably talked to, in the sense that you have a 5G network. It's still going to work on the 5G network. Where it comes into play is how 5G actually propagates inside. An actual 5G signal is not the best option when you go inside. And the reason why is because it's such a high frequency, and millimeter wave actually has a tendency to not go very far inside. So it makes sense to use, LTE or another frequency, and 5G is for data. So, what does the customer need? Do they need communications, voice communications, or what? So we are 5G ready. We work on the 5G networks just fine. It's just when it comes to propagating the 5G signal, we're kind of waiting on a tip from the carriers to say how they want to use that from a data standpoint, or not a data
Sure.
standpoint, but a voice and inside standpoint.
And is it carrier agnostic?
It is, yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So, you mentioned some of the competitors. What would you say are some differentiators between your solution and what's out there? What's going to make the case where dealers should look into Uniden as opposed to some of the other companies?
Yeah. So what we did is we have a solution that's a little more up to date. Some of their designs are a little bit older in components. So what we did is we took it. We have what we call a smart mode, which keeps us in the ability to auto vary our power up or down, so we don't introduce noise and cause issue with our carrier friends. And then we took the ability to spin if we need to on a customizable level. So for example, we have what we call a mobile ready kit. We took one of our boosters and we put it into a case with an onboard battery and allows you to set up or tear down coverage very quickly in a remote type of atmosphere. That was just one of the requests that we had. So if you're out there in the field and you see a differentiator for the fact that like, hey, we need to do this or that, we usually have the ability to customize or do something pretty quickly on that.
Sounds good. And so dealers that are looking into this category and want to get to know your company a bit better, how are they able to align with Uniden to sell, install, and even demonstrate the products? Is it bring them out to the showroom, or like I said, have some kits that they're able to bring onto sites?
Yeah, absolutely. So the mobile kit I told you about is actually a really good sales tool, which is one of the reasons why we did it. It's good for emergencies and that type of stuff, but it's also good as a sales tool where you can actually take a combined unit with all your accessories included, which means antennas and cabling and all of that. You can take it and set it up on site, show the customer that it's going to work, tear it back down and put it in the trunk of your car in minutes. So that's one factor. The other factor is we're able to take partners directly. They're welcome to reach out to me or call us directly at our corporate offices. But we have a sign up, we have training, we have certifications to be able to become a dealer for us very, very easily. And then of course we also have credit and that kind of stuff too.
Right. What is that process like in terms of an installation partner getting certified?
Today it's very easy. We're working on a more in-depth online type of certification program. Today it's, if you're an experienced installation partner, we kind of give you the nuances and differences between our product and maybe some of the others that you're working on. And then we have a 24-hour dedicated technical support team that is able to either by email or a 100 number to be able to help. And, we have other resources like collateral and online stuff that they can actually use from an information perspective.
Perfect. LaRue, you mentioned a bit detailing the installation process for the products earlier. I want to ask you, is it similar for residential and commercial? And then are there any challenges that dealers need to consider when they're, doing an installation and how they spec a system?
Yeah, good question. So it is a little different depending on it because of the size of the square footage and maybe where the towers are located and that kind of stuff between residential and maybe a enterprise type of installation or business. You are able to use multiple donor antennas. Maybe you have to point one to the east or the west, or you can use a omnidirectional, that kind of thing. Usually the differentiators to go out and do a site survey when you start talking about the larger square footages. That way you can kind of get the lay of the land and see where the RF signals are coming from. In a residential being so much smaller, usually you've got a pretty consistent source being in a neighborhood or a suburban type of atmosphere. And where that differs is if you're in an apartment or a dense urban area, kind of mimics a little bit more what you're probably dealing with in a commercial type setting. But for the most part, it's very easy. The issue is just making sure you know where those towers are, where you're going to do your donor source. The rest of it is antennas and splitting and figuring out where you want the coverage to go.
Sure. And does Uniden provide kind of design services, technical support, things of that nature to help dealers with, with a particular job?
Yeah, we do. So we have our own technical support team that anybody can call into with questions or, what they need. And we also help folks with, design and layout if needed, depending on product. I find that, once they do it a couple of times, those questions usually go away and they become very comfortable in figuring out how to do these things by themselves. But yeah, we definitely help folks up front.
Nice. And what about in terms of product warranties? I know that's something that dealers are always have questions about, or anything else about the solutions that they should know before they start getting started with you guys.
Yeah, so we offer a 60-day, no questions asked return policy for anything that you get. And then we also have a 2-year warranty on all of our consumer and professional products. And we have a 3-year warranty on our enterprise products.
Perfect. LaRue, lastly, I wanted to ask you if you're able to share anything, about what you guys might be having on the roadmap, developing for later this year, heading into 2023, and anywhere that dealers might be able to see your products in action if you're going to be at any trade shows or other industry events
Sure.
coming up?
Yeah. So I got to be a little careful about what I say in this category, but what I will say is we just came out with an HPUE antenna that we are working with a company called Assured for their AW12 series that was approved, and that is now launched. So we are looking at not only what we're doing today, but we're also looking at some other stuff that we can partner with in the same space to help out with what our boosters do to maybe get together with some other folks to help spread the coverage. The other things that we're doing as far as shows go will be at APCO. We do a lot of the other major shows. APCO is coming up here soonest, I believe, in August, which is a safety show. But we also are included in CEDIA and all of the other shows that you would typically see. So please come out and check us out there. Yeah, look for some good things coming in the future from us.
All right, sounds great. Well, LaRue Martz, we really appreciate your time helping us get to know the company. We look forward to some big things from Uniden, and especially in a category that's certainly growing for the custom industry channel.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.